The following is a presentation of the National Hockey League on Sportsnet.
First of all, I want to say good morning to you, or good day if you're watching in Atlantic Canada. Edward Rogers a moment ago said to Gary Bettman, welcome to our home. This is the Rogers Building, Toronto campus, situated at 1 Mount Pleasant in downtown Toronto. Was built in 1992. It actually opened, and it is, of course, the home of HockeyNet in Canada and Rogers NHL Sportsnet coverage. Studio 32 is where we're convening here on this very special day. I will say, when Rob Corte and Greg Sansoni told me about the news about a day and a half ago, we were getting some promos together, and it was like when McDavid scored. I thought, oh my gosh, did I see or hear what I just heard and saw? It's good news. And then immediately, professional says to me, okay, don't be too giddy. Don't be too pleased with oneself. But it's very exciting news for the team, and I think that's how we all feel. You know the key to television. No show is a good show unless it's good before it reaches the cameras. You can't have a director and a playbook. You can't have a master camera operator. No technique will make good a dull performance or a bad dance. And for that, we have the NHL to thank. Without the NHL, we don't have this good show. So we're really honored. Colette Watson is the president of Rogers Sports and Media. Colette's here. Tony Staffieri is the CEO and president of Rogers Communications. The commissioner of the NHL, Gary Bettman, when Gary started, right back when this building was built, Gary said, call me Gary, so I will, Gary. And Bill Daly, of course, deputy commissioner of the National Hockey League. Great to have you aboard. Nice to have so many here. Join us in Studio 32. And for those of you watching, Gary, I'll hand it to you.
Thank you, Ron. I like seeing you giddy. Good morning, and it's exciting to be here with all of you today. This is a great day for the NHL, for Rogers, and most of all for our fans across Canada. Today, we are thrilled to announce that the partnership we forged over a decade ago will continue for more than another decade. On behalf of Bill and me, I'd like to thank Tony and Colette for their partnership and for hosting us here. This state-of-the-art studio is just one example of the commitment and vision by Rogers and Sportsnet, bringing fans the best in hockey coverage. When it comes to our broadcast relationships, our mission is simple: give fans more access to our incredible game and bring them closer to our phenomenal players. For more than a decade, Rogers has accomplished this through its embrace of our puck and player tracking technology, their investment in world-class broadcast talent, like Ron. Again, this studio, a prime example of their willingness to embrace new ideas. It is not surprising that more than 50% of the top 100 viewed television programs and 37 of the top 50 are NHL hockey games. This agreement will take our partnership to the next level. Given the current state of the NHL game, it is not a surprise that the number one thing we hear from fans is that they want even more access to more games, and this agreement will bring more live games to more fans across the country than ever before. We're fortunate to have the greatest trophy in sports, the Stanley Cup, here with us today, symbolizing our game at its pinnacle. And as you all know, players will exert every ounce of their being for the opportunity to lift that trophy. It's not only what we have together, the most compelling sports programming, it's real-life drama that brings all of us together and to the edge of our seats. The playoffs are just around the corner, and we and Rogers are ready, which is why during the playoff stretch, every single night in Canada, NHL hockey will be the #1 program that is viewed. That's a testament to the power of the NHL game, Rogers' commitment to our game, the passion of our fans, and perhaps most of all, the connection of the game to this country. So once again, I want to say thank you to Edward Rogers, Tony, Colette, and their talented team for their partnership and friendship. We could not be more excited to continue to work with you to bring the best of the NHL hockey to our fans.
And Gary, how far is Raleigh, North Carolina from where we're situated here today?
We talking kilometers or miles?
What would you like?
I think it's about 1,200 kilometers and about 750 miles.
And that's where you're headed next for the Ovechkin
I figured
chase.
on my way to see if Alexander Ovechkin can catch Wayne Gretzky, I'd stop in Toronto.
You know, that chase and these playoff races, we saw it last night in Montreal. We saw it 2 nights ago in Denver with the Calgary Flames. As said, the product great. So Bill and Gary and a lot of the entourage are here for the NHL. Thank you. Tony, I'll hand it to you.
Thank you, Ron. And welcome, everyone, to our Sportsnet studios, the home of NHL hockey in Canada. It's hard to believe it's been over a decade since we announced our original deal. At the time, we committed to bring fans more games, more content, and more choice. And we did. We're proud of what we've accomplished with the NHL, and we're proud to announce our renewal today. 12 more years starting in 2026. All national media rights across all platforms and all languages. The crown jewel of sports content in Canada. Thank you to you, Gary, Bill, and the entire team at the NHL for a terrific partnership. Live sport is core to Rogers, and the NHL is the most valuable sports rights in Canada. This renewed investment strengthens our sports leadership and our world-class sports portfolio. As team owners and a sports broadcaster, we've invested over $15 billion in Canadian sport in the last decade. We've invested billions more in the country's most reliable networks and invested in our entertainment platform, Rogers Xfinity. And with Rogers Media, we connect Canadians to their favorite teams with Sportsnet, Canada's #1 sports broadcaster. Together, this scale means we can connect fans to the best live sports and more content on Rogers Xfinity, Sportsnet Plus, or their platform of choice. When we announced the deal 12 years ago, we set a clear goal to be the #1 sports media brand in Canada. And I'm proud to share we've held that title for 10 straight years. We've invested and grown the game of hockey. More Canadians tune into Sportsnet than any other specialty channel in Canada, reaching 75% of Canadians with NHL content every year. We opened state-of-the-art studios with augmented and virtual reality technology, broadcasting 8,000 games into the homes of Canadians. We launched a live sports streaming service, giving fans the choice on where and when they watch. It was the first of its kind in North America, and we've seen subscribers triple over the last 3 years alone. We made the game more inclusive, broadcasting hundreds of games in Cree and Punjabi. We made it more accessible, giving thousands of young Canadians the chance to experience the sport firsthand and meet the best players in the league. We've delivered a once-in-a-lifetime experience to hundreds of thousands of fans with Rogers Beyond the Seat. And we broadcast moments that shape us as a nation. From a heartbreaking Stanley Cup loss to Team Canada's win at the Four Nations face-off, all with the most trusted personalities and the best production team in the business. This partnership is a win for fans. It's a win for Canadians, and it's a win for our shareholders. Together with the NHL, we'll continue to innovate to deliver the best broadcast to viewers and fans. We'll deliver more national games and fewer blackouts, and we'll make it available across multiple platforms, giving fans the choice of how they watch their favorite team. For us, this isn't just a game, it's our game, and we're proud to be the home of hockey for the next 12 years. As Ted Rogers, our founder, would say, the best is yet to come. Thank you.
Tony Staffieri. Thank you, Tony. So with that, I'm sure there are some questions here on the floor. Sarah Grossman, publicist at Sportsnet, is going to handle and moderate that. So Sarah, over to you there.
Thank you so much, Ron. So we are going to open up the Q&A portion of today's event. All 4 folks up here will be available to answer your questions. We will take questions for about 20 minutes, but some housekeeping first. When you are called on, please do wait. There are 2 microphones in the room on either side. Please wait for the microphone before asking your question so that everybody can hear. As well, we'd kindly ask that you introduce yourself before asking your question. So with that, we will take Richard, go ahead.
Thanks. Richard Deitch from The Athletic. This question is for Tony. Tony, is it your intention to continue to sublicense games to Amazon?
The answer is yes, we'll look to it as a possibility and a strong possibility. Today, we sublicense French content as well as streaming with Amazon, and those have been terrific partnerships. And as we look to the next 12 years, the agreement with the NHL is that we'll look to opportunities to continue to sublicense where it makes sense.
Hi, just Jamie Strachan with CBC. Just to follow up on that question, if you were a Leaf fan here in Toronto and looked over an 80-plus game schedule, how many games can fans expect to see on Sportsnet, and how much would they be paying out of pocket potentially on streaming services like Amazon, like Apple, like Netflix, wherever you end up?
I'll take that one, Jamie. So this happens a season from now. So what you see today, what you'll see next season, will likely be what you see in the seasons going forward. The regional rights of the Leafs are split equally between Bell and Rogers, so they will continue to be split between TSN and Sportsnet. Playoffs will always be on Sportsnet, so you will see the Toronto Maple Leafs on Sportsnet when they make the playoffs, and so that won't change. We don't see that changing. If you're a subscriber to Sportsnet today, you will have the Leafs the same way you have them going forward. I can't predict what the schedule will look like 10 years from now, 8 years from now, and when Leafs play on which night, and whether that becomes one of the nights that has been sublicensed. But what you experience today as a Leafs fan is what you'll experience for the next 13 years.
Not sure who is best to answer this question, but the release says fewer regional blackouts. Can you explain what that means, please?
I can share this with Gary. So in our negotiation, we have secured the opportunity to take more of the regional games that Sportsnet has and convert them to national games. So that means fewer blackouts and more national opportunities.
I think you got it.
Sounded like Elliot Friedman. It's just a guess.
It did.
Hi, Lance Hornby from the Toronto Sun. For Gary, this deal coming together so quickly surprised a lot of people, and just sort of take us how it came together.
We have really felt a strong commitment to Rogers based on the relationship we've had for the last 11 years going into the 12th. We had an exclusive negotiating period that was at the beginning of this calendar year, and based on how the discussions were going and Rogers' resolve to retain us and our resolve to try and continue to make the partnership work, we actually extended the exclusive negotiating period so that we could get to a point that we were both comfortable. And so it happened certainly after January 1st, and there were some breaks between the holiday season, people being away, and Four Nations. But it wasn't what I would describe as contentious in the least. I think we were pretty much on the same page. You know, we had to work a little bit on the money, but that came together as well. But in the final analysis, we wanted to be together, and that's how it came together as quickly as it did.
Hi there, Irene Gallia, Globe and Mail, and my question's for Tony. I think the doubling of this price tag will come as a surprise and maybe a tough pill to swallow for both sports fans and investors. Can you explain why Rogers agreed to pay twice as much this time, and also how it expects this to be profitable from the outset, as it said in the release this morning?
Well, a couple of things. The value of live sports content just continues to appreciate it, and it's really rooted in viewership continuing to grow. You know, if you're to look at our NHL deal over the last decade, viewership grew by 50%. And with the growth, with that kind of growth, what you see is revenue growing at a very steady and healthy pace in terms of advertising revenue, subscription revenue, and in the deal we have now, sub-licensing revenue. And so as we look to the next 12 years, we were very thoughtful in how we thought about the economics. And the economics have been, for us, solid, and the economics that we foresee for the next 12 years are going to be solid. And so this is something that is going to work financially, but more importantly, we factored in the desire, the want, and the need to continue to invest in the content and then the broadcasting and the innovation and the technology so that we grow the sport and the viewership and the fan base in this country.
Just to add to that, sports content, live sports, is the most valuable content, and I don't think there's any more valuable media content, and this was the position that I maintained throughout our discussions. There is nothing more valuable in this country from a media standpoint than having the rights to the NHL.
Hi, Elias Hussein, Toronto Star. Just to follow up on the regional broadcast to national games question, how much more games can fans expect to be turned from regional broadcasts into nationally televised games?
So we have secured the right for up to 10 more games on certain teams, but it will be a game time, a season decision based on every season, based on matchups. So I can't really give you quantified numbers, but there is the opportunity to convert all of our regional games for the Canucks, the Flames, the Oilers, and half of our Leaf games, half of the Leaf games, our half, and a few extra games from Winnipeg Jets and the Ottawa Senators.
And you have unlimited rights to bring in U.S. matchups till your heart's content, or till fans' hearts are content.
So our wonderful programmers and our president of Sportsnet will, who is, by the way, the best programmer in the country, will make those decisions as they evolve.
Sorry, slightly, I guess, inward-looking question here, but this is the last year that NHL games are going to be broadcast on the CBC, which is obviously an avenue into all Canadians' homes that have a television. Is there a role for the CBC in this relationship going forward, or is this the end of the NHL on CBC? That's a question, I guess, to the Rogers side. And if it is, to Commissioner Bettman, can you just talk about the league's history with the CBC?
So we have one more season with the CBC, so there's a full season after this one with the CBC. We like our partnership with, and we value our partnership with the CBC. And over the next 18 months, we'll look to see if there's a continued partnership there.
From a league standpoint, we respect what the CBC has brought to the game. It is the longest running program in the history of television in Canada. And I'm certain that our friends at Rogers will make the right decisions and have the right discussions with the people at the CBC.
Yeah, Lance from the Sun again. For Tony or Gary, Tony talked about innovations. What would both of you maybe like to see in the next 12 years in terms of adding new features, new bells and whistles, that kind of thing?
I'll let you start with it, Colette.
Pardon me for jumping in. If you watched the Four Nations, you would have seen some innovation there. We had a cable cam, and we had cameras on the ice. We worked with the NHL, with the PA to bring those new innovations. The innovations we focused on over the last, I'm going to say, 5 years was to bring the game to as many screens as we could. Launch North America's first live streaming service for hockey and make that good. So we will continue to make it good and then onto great. So we'll work on innovating, bringing the game to as many screens as possible, and then stay tuned. I can't predict what great new technology will happen over the 12 years, but it's not something we shy away from.
And in fact, both of us embrace the advances in technology, puck and player tracking being the most obvious example, the use of digitally enhanced dashboards. You're going to see more and more customization and personalization because technology and AI is going to let us do that collectively. It's about giving fans the connection to the game that they want, and increasingly we're going to be able to do that. I think also Rogers has done a great job in bringing fans closer to the players, telling more stories, personalizing it, because fans, particularly younger fans, are looking for that one-on-one personal connection. What's my favorite athlete doing? You know, what's their training regimen? And like telling the stories. And that's all part of the package. And the Rogers has not been bashful about taking the chances we've asked them to take or spending money in support of doing it. So I think we're going to see more and more of what we've been seeing. And as Ted Rogers said, the best is yet to come.
Simon Haupt, Globe and Mail. This question for Mr. Bettman. Sir, as you know, you're here in Canada on a rather fraught day between our two nations, given what your president is doing to Canada and furthermore threatening to do to this country. Canadians, as you know only too well, are expressing their disdain for those actions through an increasing pushback on U.S. brands, such as Amazon's Prime service. Given that, how much did that figure into your decision to sell all of the national rights to a Canadian-owned company rather than dividing it among, for example, some U.S. brands? And how concerned are you about that anti-American backlash?
Actually, your question seems to be inconsistent because you're talking about tension between two great countries that have historically been two of the best allies in the world, but at the same time, why did we seek to give all of our rights to a Canadian company? Well, this Canadian company has been a great partner, and we felt that they would continue to represent our game and our brand spectacularly, so that was never a concern. I think going to the question I guess you were trying to allude to was, I don't personally think it's appropriate for us when we're focusing fans on hockey to weigh into the political spectrum. I don't think people want us to do that. I think they want to use sports and our sport as an escape. I hope that what we're seeing is a moment in time and things can get back to a normal reality. I have concerns from a business standpoint for the league that if the Canadian economy suffers by what's going on, that will impact the way we have to do business from an economic standpoint, because as I think you all know, our teams in Canada pay their players in US dollars, and if the Canadian dollar drops, that will be an issue that we'll have to deal with. But I'm hoping we're focused on a moment in time and these two great historical allies can get past where they are at the moment.
Yeah, Richard Deitch, The Athletic. Tony, sort of on a similar plane, did the political climate currently between the United States and Canada impact how you thought philosophically about this deal? And if so, how so?
The short answer is not really. If I could pick up on Gary's comments, these two countries have had a great cooperation and relationship for a very long time, and I'm optimistic that we'll get through these tariff issues. The bigger issue for us at Rogers is what it means for the broader Canadian economy, and we'll continue to think about it and be thoughtful about it. But that's an issue in the moment. This is a deal for the next 12 years, and it's about bringing Canada's national sport to the largest audience possible. And so that's the lens we had on this. That's what this was really about, and we stayed focused on that. As Gary said, we are fully aligned in our mission and what we want to do. The toughest part was working through the economics of it and making sure it worked for everybody, and we got there. Yeah.
Richard Deitch again, The Athletic, if no one else is following up. Colette, this question's for you. Given the length of this deal, will that mean that Sportsnet will be adding more front-facing talent, either in front of the camera or in terms of writing? Because we have certainly seen, when it comes to Sportsnet, we've seen cuts, particularly front-facing people and people who work in the broader sports media.
No business ever stands still, so you always have to evolve, and that's how you stay on top. Where we changed or reallocated, we did so with an eye to investing on properties that would help the channel grow, the business grow, and we'll continue to do that over the next 12 years. I am blessed to work with the best, bar none, best hockey group in the country, and so I look forward to continuing to work with them over the next 13 years.
Hi, Irene Gallia, Globe and Mail. For Tony, do you currently expect to pass on the added costs from this licensing deal to consumers? And if so, how will you decide how to do that?
The focus for us on this is growing the viewership. And if we do that well, which is what we've done over the last 10 years, significantly expanding the audiences, then the revenues follow in terms of advertising revenue and subscription revenue. You know, you look at the content and the innovation we've done on Sportsnet Plus, you would have seen a growth in subscribers threefold. And so the economics of this stand on their own. And what you'll continue to see is Rogers and Sportsnet always looking at the value proposition for consumers and Canadians and bringing more content to them at the best value. That's going to be our focus.
We have time for one more question, if there is one. If not, okay, we will wrap up then, and we will ask our photographers then now to come forward, and we will stage a photo op. So please bear with us while we set that up.
Yeah. So, Sarah, do you want the four panelists, or how do you want to do? You're going to do it with the cup there? Okay.
Is Ron going to wrap?
Very nice guys right here. Nice. Wait, and then if all can just come on one side.
Derek, I'm just going to slide in front of your camera there. So thanks again to the panel. Thanks to the journalists for showing up here at Studio 32 this morning. David Amber's going to interview Gary Bettman for Scotiabank Wednesday Night Hockey tonight. It's a good one, the Leafs and the Florida Panthers. And I'll just summarize what has been an exciting day by saying doesn't get any better. How's that? Got a little giddy? I was a little giddy. Sorry about that. Okay, thanks for tuning in today. So long for now.